Hi, I'm Gavin Carlson, and this is Out of Bounds, Daily Bruin Sports Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Out of Bounds, the official sports podcast of the Daily Bruin. As always, I'm your host, Gavin Carlson, a fourth-year sports staff writer here at the Daily Bruin, and today we are talking women's basketball with my wonderful two women's basketball fellow beat writers, former editors for the beats. First off, senior sports staff writer Grace Whitaker, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Gavin.
Welcome back.
A little alliteration moment. That's good.
Senior sports staff writer Lauryn Wang, how are you doing today?
Even more swell than last time.
Love it. This is kind of an emergency pod a little bit, mainly because we're going to be focusing on, obviously, women's basketball is a wonderful start, 3-0, but mainly the Emily Bessoir injury that is still a developing story. Let's just jump right into it. Emily Bessoir was overseas playing for Germany's national team, preparing for the Eurobasket qualifying, and she suffered an injury. There's no official word on what it is. It looks really, really bad, and she did post on Instagram saying that she's going to have to do this again, basically, and obviously she tore her ACL back in October 2021, so some speculation it's an ACL. We don't know for sure, but I guess, Grace, just lead us off, rapid fire thoughts on what this would mean for the team if there's no Emily Bessoir for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge, if there's no Emily Bessoir for the rest of the year, it's a huge loss for them. She's huge in the paint, in shooting. I mean, I'm looking at her stats last year. She was averaging, 9.4 points per game, but it was so much more than the scoring from her. She was just a huge presence on the floor. So
Well, in terms of how they're going to replace her, we did see Angela Dugalich, who's coming back from her own ACL injury, have a strong start to the season, especially in the first game. When she kind of surprised some people, she started instead of Emily in that opener. Is that where, the team's going to have to find sort of that substitute for Bessoir the rest of the year, you think, Lauryn?
Yeah, I think Angela Dugalich. I think also we saw Gabriella Hawkins put up 30 in the last game. I think they're both 6'3" or 6'4" around there, same as Emily. What we saw with Emily at the end of last season was huge gains in her three-point shooting and ability to spread the floor, and Gabriella Hawkins has demonstrated she can really fill that role as of, a few nights ago. So looking forward to seeing how, this really deep squad is able to adjust.
Yeah, I think coming into the year, there was question marks about how they were going to be able to incorporate everybody. So obviously it's not a good thing at all what happened, but it might make things a little bit easier for Cori Close in terms of how she manages the rotation, letting someone like Christina Walla play, who maybe wasn't going to have as much time before. Lena Sontag still coming back from injury, Angela back, obviously. So I don't think it's going to have too much of an impact in terms of success right now. Obviously 3-0, 3 huge wins, beating Purdue by 43, beating UC Riverside by 38, and then absolutely destroying Bellarmine by 49. So they play Princeton on Friday. There shouldn't be any issues with that game. But when it comes to UConn the following Friday, maybe I don't think Lena Sontag is going to be playing by then. How adjusted is Angela to a new year? It might play a role, especially with UConn having great size always. We'll just now transition a bit to just some thoughts about what you've seen from the team so far. Obviously, like I said, 3 huge wins. I think Gabriella Hawkins was the main storyline from the Bellarmine game. Grace, what did you see from her and kind of from the team in that game?
I mean, I just got to commend you, Gavin, on your selection that Gabriella Hawkins is going to be huge for this team and take the biggest leap.
Someone cooked.
You predicted it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was covering that game yesterday, and it was just absurd. It felt like every 10 seconds they would be announcing Gabriella Hawkins' name out of the loudspeakers. I mean, 30 points, 12 rebounds. It was wild. She's taken such a huge leap from last season. And even just like outside of the scoring, just like the maturity, the poise, the ability to just, drive up, shoot a jumper. I mean, she had a couple hook shots. It was just huge for the team. Versatility, yeah.
And then Lauryn, what do you think of Lauryn Betts so far? I mean, I think that's probably before the Hawkins breakout. She's been the story so far, just a new addition who's been phenomenal, right?
Yeah, I mean, against these past 3 teams, no one even comes close to being able to guard her.
Right.
As we saw in Grace's feature on Lauryn Betts, shout out. That went up last week. Check it out if you haven't already.
Absolutely.
Just really the missing piece that UCLA needed. And so it's just going to be exciting to see how they play through the paint with her, seeing Kiki Rice and, really coming into her own as a point guard. 11 assists yesterday afternoon against Bellarmine, really impressive. So it's going to be interesting to see how it shapes up.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of burden off the shoulders of Charisma. In years past, she's kind of had to lead the team in scoring while being the leader, while being the on-ball defender. It's like now if the perimeter play is struggling a little bit, just throw it inside of Lauryn Betts and you'll have a 50% chance of scoring that possession, basically. Obviously, against larger competition, we'll see what happens. But for now, they've been unstoppable. We will have a pod previewing the UConn game, so we don't have to worry about that right now. But just, I guess, kind of to end this quick kind of emergency pod, does anything change for either of you in terms of the outlook of this team? I know coming in, we all had very high expectations. Just today, we are recording on a Monday. They just moved up to number 3 in the AP poll following the LSU loss. Has anything changed in either of your mindsets in terms of where this team is going to go based on what you've seen? 3 huge wins, does that maybe add more expectations? Do you think they're going to go even further than you might have thought beforehand?
I think they look really cohesive. And that's not something we could have known until we saw them play in competition.
Yeah.
Cori Close talks a lot about consistency, needing to take that next step on that front. So we'll see. I think Princeton's going to be a test more so than the last 3. Princeton beat NC State in the first round of the NCAA tournament last year, and NC State just beat UConn. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out on Friday at Pauley. But I think it's just still really promising.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there were so much more progression from so many of these players than I really expected.
London.
And I totally agree with what you were saying. Yeah, that they're very cohesive, and it looks like they've found a way to put all the pieces together right now. But I am looking forward to seeing them play against, Princeton and UConn and see how they hold up against a team like that.
Rapid fire predictions for Princeton. You have a win by how much?
Oof. Win by 25.
Win by 25. Grace?
Win by 18.
Win by 18. Okay. I'm going to say win by 31. I've been really impressed.
Wow.
I think they're not even playing at their peak yet. I think they're turning the ball over more than Cori wants. I know that's been an issue. And I think it still will take some time to fully maximize the Charisma-Lauryn combo. But
3-point shooting.
London Jones has been really good. Kiki Rice has been really good. Lauryn Betts has been really good. I think you can see more from Charisma. She hasn't even have to be that aggressive so far. So I think in terms of Charisma taking that next step, as we expect her to do, really when she needs to, she will have games where she scores 25 points. I think there's a even larger peak. But against a team like Princeton, I think it's going to be another big win, and then we will have a pod. We will have a pod previewing the massive UConn game because
and the scouting report.
That's going to be one of the biggest games I think in a while for this program in terms of you're playing UConn and you're going to be expected to win, and I don't think that's been the case really ever for UCLA women's basketball. So, I mean it's kind of a rapid fire pod. We just want to get a little something out there. Emergency situation with Emily Bessoir injury. As of this recording, we don't know if it's an ACL, but if she is out for the rest of the year, that obviously changes things. Make sure, please make sure you follow our amazing coverage on dailybruin.com. Amazing features, amazing previews, notebooks, all that stuff, the wraps at every game. So that'll do it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. As always, YouTube, UCLA Daily Bruin, the YouTube channel, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts if you want to listen. But why would you only want to listen when you can watch? Come on. Let's be real here. We're cooking over here. So that's the emergency episode. We'll see what happens officially with Emily Bessoir. And we will have a preview pod for UConn next week. Thanks so much for watching and listening. So long.